Senator DeMint, why don't we start with you?
Thank you, Chairman Casey, Vice Chairman Brady, Congressman Duffy. I appreciate the opportunity. Training in the workplace is something I did professionally for a number of years, and I certainly know the importance of it, and am thankful for the opportunity to talk a little bit about it today. The training and skills of a workforce are perhaps more important than ever as our economy relies more and more on technological innovations, individual productivity. We've seen that even in retail, if you can't operate a computer, you can't even get a job as a cashier. Training is key to continuing to develop our workforce. We know that new technologies drive economic growth and opportunity, but they present challenges, particularly when it comes to the training of our workforce. The challenge of keeping pace with improving technology and innovation has been constant throughout our history, but we must always remember that innovation is still a good thing. Our embrace of innovation is a primary reason for America's century-long economic resilience and prosperity. Every economy periodically stumbles, but nations that embrace innovation recover more quickly and get back to work. I'll leave to the experts more of the explanation about particular government job training programs. I have my questions, but I'll let them get into the details. And instead, I'd like to focus my testimony on this simple lesson that I learned in the private sector. The only surefire training and skill development program I know of is actually having a job. And it's in this area, job creation, that Washington has utterly failed. In manufacturing and every other sector of our economy, businesses small and large have every incentive in the world to train their employees, to develop their skills, and to keep them current on the latest technologies. As I said, in my professional life, many companies hired my company to come in and train on continuous quality improvement, team building, other aspects of their operation. They know once they have an employee, they've invested a lot, they want to keep them current. That's our best tool for getting training, is for people to have a job. But unfortunately, the current economic policies give those same businesses every disincentive in the world to actually create new jobs and hire new employees. This week I came up on the plane with a gentleman who works with community colleges across the Southeast. He says they're having difficulty now getting people who are in the workforce to come do additional training at night, because in order to avoid hiring new people, many employers are extending the hours of those who are already working. And it's created a situation where the new training that's needed is not happening because people are working not 35, 36, but sometimes 45 hours a week because they're afraid to hire new people. And it's very consistent with other meetings I've had with businesses, is they don't know what their taxes will be, and they hear a lot of talk of increasing them. Unemployment insurance rates are going up. The cost of the new health plans are still undetermined. We don't know what's going to happen with trade agreements for manufacturers that are trying to anticipate new markets. The liability of doing business in America seems to continue to increase. And periodic episodes like the National Labor Relations Board going after a company like Boeing just tell us that it appears that this administration and even this Congress is intent on making it harder, more expensive to do business in America. They're not paranoid. Every news report about ongoing debt limit negotiation reaffirms the administration's insistence on new taxes. As last Friday's job reports revealed, there are only so many people and businesses left doing well enough to create new jobs in this country, yet these are the very people now being targeted for tax hikes. Meanwhile, we have free trade agreements with loyal allies waiting ratification, agreements that will open new foreign markets for American products and create American jobs. Yet these agreements with Colombia, South Korea, and Panama remain on the shelf because of some add-ons that the President has to have before moving forward. You look at our $1.7 trillion regulatory state. According to the Small Business Administration, federal regulations add an average of 8,000 to the cost of every employee. And I have a feeling that's very old data from what I'm hearing from businesses today. On taxes, spending, trade, and regulation, every signal from federal policymakers to job-creating businesses and entrepreneurs is that success will be punished. There's no better illustration of these misguided ideas driving federal policy today than what I just mentioned, the National Labor Relations Board against the Boeing Company. 2 years ago, Boeing decided to build a new airplane factory in North Charleston, South Carolina. It didn't replace one in Washington. In fact, they've added thousands of jobs since they built this. They've invested over $1 billion in the plant. They've created more than 1,000 jobs, which will ultimately probably be well over 5,000 direct and indirect jobs. And they're one of the world's greatest exporters. What could be a better case for creating America jobs? Yet the NLRB, led by President Obama's own recess-appointed acting general counsel, filed suit against Boeing to shut down the new factory simply because they do not like South Carolina's right-to-work law. And people wonder where all the jobs are. Policymakers looking for someone to blame for America's high rates of unemployment, underemployment, and long-term unemployment need only find the nearest mirror. And it cannot be forgotten that those who bear the greatest burden of these policies are those who can least afford them. Those Americans who grew up in dysfunctional communities, trapped in failing government schools, in a cycle of dependency. Those with the fewest skills are the first to lose their jobs and the last to find work again. These struggling Americans have not been left behind by the free market. They've been kneecapped by well-intentioned but catastrophic government policies. Jobs, growth, investment, innovation, and opportunity are what really train America's workers and develop their skills, and they are an inevitable byproduct of a free economy. They're readily available to us, as they always have been. If only we reform policies here in Washington that have put handcuffs on our economy in the last several decades. I'm not blaming this on this administration or one party. If you look out over the last couple of decades, it appears we do everything we can to make it harder and more expensive to do business in America. If we really want people to develop the skills, we need to get them in the workplace. Employers working with community colleges and other training resources will get their people up to speed, and we can do it. Americans will work if we get them the jobs. But I don't think we can pretend that we're helping if we create these large government training programs when people don't have any place to take them. We need to get the economy going. That will bring more workers. That will bring higher budgets from the private sector for training. And then those training resources in the government and private sector can help raise the skill level of our workers. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I appreciate the opportunity to share my thoughts.
Senator DeMint, thank you very much. Congressman Lipinski?